In 1947, the British gave up on trying to find a solution between the Zionist settlers and the native population. Exhausted from World War II, the British declared that they would leave Palestine and handed the problem over to the United Nations. At the UN, a committee decided that the best way forward was to split Palestine in two, giving one state to the Jews and the other to the Arabs. Jerusalem would become a separate entity administered by the UN. The Jewish community in Palestine had skyrocketed throughout the Zionist movement. But in 1947, it still only represented 1/3 of Palestine's population and owned less than 7% of the land. The United Nations partition plan called for giving 56% of the country to the Jewish state. This proposal shocked the Arab community. Not only would the Jews receive over half of Palestine, but they were also receiving most of the land suitable for farming.
Nobody felt that this was a fair deal.
The overwhelming majority, more than 55% of a country that had a 2/3 Arab majority, was being given over to the minority. And the area that would have been given to the minority was almost equal in population between Arabs and Jews. So there was a negative reaction to the partition of the country at all. People felt it's a single country, it shouldn't be partitioned. But then the specifics of the partition were found unjust and unequal in that a minority was being given most of the country.
But in the wake of the Holocaust, world leaders felt compelled to do something for the Jewish people. In the United States, President Truman was facing re-election and intense lobbying by Zionist leaders. As a result of those pressures, he began supporting the UN partition plan.
Truman, you might say, unleashed American diplomats to threaten certain countries. So you change your vote or else. And it worked. The vote passed to have partition.
That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Partition passed 33-13. And is this crowd excited? They're starting their horror dances now. All over the square, little circles are forming. People are laughing and crying and shouting and whirling around in the wild horror dance.
The only time I remember in my life that I really seen a total happiness. I mean, everyone was dancing and everyone was happy, because it was a dream fulfilled.
ההרגשה של היישוב כולו הייתה של שמחה גדולה מאוד. הייתי ברמת יוחנן, כן, כולם רקדו בחדר האוכל, אני אפילו לא יצאתי.
I disliked it. From the beginning, I disliked it.
כי ידעתי שאחרי ההחלטה הזאת העניינים לא יסתדרו ותהיה מלחמה.
And they said, we are not going to accept this, we're going to fight. Because this is our country and we're not going to leave it. And we're not going to let anybody take part of it even.
Jerusalem rioters started fires in many parts of the city. Casualties amount to more than a score killed on both sides. But Palestine's most critical period has yet to come. With British troops away from the trouble center, it remains to be seen whether a threatened full-scale war will materialize.
بدنا سلاح نقوم فيه. صار كل واحد يتبرع باللي عنده.
فكنا نطلع على الجبل نقابل وين بيجي طريق يطلعوا منها اليهود علينا. وأنا من الناس اللي أخذوا بارودة طليانية مع 5 فشكات.
Now, when we came to a village, and then was a barrier of stones, I was afraid. I had all a bus on my responsibility. Then they began to try to climb on there, and I shot, and I hit maybe 3, 4, I don't know how many.
في يوم من الأيام إجت مجموعة يهود ودخلوا على البلد في الليل ولغموا بيوت ونسفوهن قتلوا أهلهن. ومن هناك بدأت المعركة بين أهل البلد وبينهم يعني. فصاروا أهل البلد يشتروا أسلحة فاهم ويقاوموا.
Because the British ran the government of Palestine, neither the Jews nor the Arabs had an official army. However, by 1947, the Haganah, the militia of the mainstream Zionist parties, had become a well-developed force of 35,000 to 40,000 fighters, nearly 4 times more than the poorly equipped Arab militias.
The only Palestinian leader at the time was someone named Abdul Qadir al-Husseini. And he was quite effective in rallying people to his cause.
Oh, he was a force to be reckoned with. He had a big following. He was a fighter, a freedom fighter.
اليهود كانوا يعملوا انفجارات، هلا احنا تعلمنا منهم الانفجارات.
صاروا يزتوا تفجيرات براميل يدحلوها من شارع يافا الأبين من فوق تيجي عنا يافا. بقى خافت العالم. هذا الشيء اللي خوف العالم. صاروا يهربوا. قالوا
Haifa Refinery was one of these rather rare cases where you had Jewish and Arab workers working together. So the Irgun members drove by the oil refinery one day and threw a bomb into a rather large group of Palestinian Arab workers standing outside of the break. The Palestinians then responded against their fellow Jewish workers.
صار معركة في الشمالية هاي بالريفينري راح تربي من اليهود القتلة.
There was a revolt there, and the Arabs said about the Jewish workers. We got called out there. Terrible disaster. Bodies all over the place.
ואז יצאנו לפעולת תגמול, נקרא לזה, על כפר ערבי שנקרא בלד אל-שייח. ירינו, הם ירו עלינו, נהרג שם בחור על ידי ואני ועוד חבר הוצאנו אותו, לא היה לנו אפילו אלונקות אלא על הכתפיים.
The retaliation at Balad Sheikh left dozens of Arab men, women, and children dead. It had been 4 weeks since the announcement of the UN partition plan.